Yeah, so I've got it all apart again. This is the twist wrist for the PC200. I did get that thing fitted on the machine, got the hydraulics all working, and that sucker is sloppy. So contrary to what the guy who sold it to me said, oh yeah, it's nice and tight, not much slop. Well, no. So first, I started looking at this pin here. It was really bad, and the spherical bearing in here was all worn out, so I bought a new one of those. I'll have to make a new pin, I think, bore this out maybe. I'll see how that works out. I might have to weld that up or bush it or something, make that work. And then, in the process of taking that apart and having it on the hoist, I noticed that there was a ton of slop in the main pin too. That thing was moving around 1/4 of an inch, maybe 200 thou. It was retarded. So anyway, pull the thing apart again. So we're ending up gonna rebuild the whole thing. You can see on here, well, you can see where you can't feel that. It's fairly substantial. Down here as well too. And these things, the ends are of course egg-shaped. So somebody's been into this thing before. Here's a bushing that was in this end here. So I just welded that up and shrunk it and popped her out of there. So I'll make a new bushing to replace that end. I'm pretty sure this end has a bushing too. You can see that step in there. I'm pretty sure that's a bushing, but I'll have to carve at that a little bit and see whether it is or not. Regardless, it'll come out either as a bushing or as chips. And I'll make new bushings for that end. This end is not quite so bad. I'm going to set up the line bore and just skim the ends there and make them round again, make them even. And then on the pin here, so the end that I skim down there, I'll build up this end of the shaft, weld it up and turn it to match whatever I end up with at the far end there. And then on this end here, seeing as I'm making new bushings anyways, I'm just going to turn this down a little undersize and make bushings at this end here and here to match. So yeah, so then the pin will be tapered, it'll slide in and go together easier, and I think it will work. So nothing too crazy, nothing too hard, just a lot more work to do on this stupid thing. So, oh yeah, and then the other thing I found was a huge gap here. So like that big a bushing. I made the shim there to make up that. What it was so far out of whack that all the pressure is actually side loading this thing because there's so much wear and play in that. So I'll get that fixed up too. Yeah, so life is fun. Get to play in the machine shop some more. Anyway, that's it for tonight. I think I gotta go home and make myself some supper, but we'll leave the rest for another night. Thanks for tuning in. All right, ready to jump back on this here again. Another evening. So I got my line boring rig pieces and parts all ready to roll here. Cones, whatnot. This, I wasn't sure if that was a separate insert in there or if that was just relieved somehow. It kind of looked like it was a bushing in there, but anyway, I ground it down to close to nothing and threw some heat at it, expecting that to glow bright red, being that it's so thin. It didn't, so I think that's all one big piece in there. So I'm going to have to punch it out. Luckily, it wasn't too hard with the die grinder there, so I think it'll pull out nicely with the line boring here. So yeah, let's get her set up and get to work. Okay, got the line boring bar and guide bearings installed here now. So just some scrap steel on these plates and bearings that I made. There's a couple swivel bearings in there, pillow bearings I guess. And I made these plates with some adjusting screws on there so that I attach the plate on solid and then I can adjust position if I need to go up, down, left, right, whatever. I had actually welded this thing on this side and then realized that my bar would not be long enough to give me enough travel before I hit this thing, so I had to flip it around and move it over there. Oh, I got some spatter on there I'm going to have to clean off, I see. So that's got to ring good and solid, and now it's time to get the centering cones and these out of there. So I'll do that right now. So yeah, the center cones I just made out of some nylon, I think. And then this is my my little clamping device here. It's just some pipe I threaded to fit inside itself. So set screw, tighten it, and then this thing spins to clamp those things in nice and tight, get me centered up nicely. So now I can pull these on out of there. And this side will take a little bit of work here, so anyway, I'll do that off camera. So yeah, that's it there. Next, once I get those out, I'll get the drill motor mounted up here. Okay, so I'm all set up, but it ain't gonna work. I have limited travel on this thing. When I built it, I only allowed for 5 inches of travel. Which is going to be insufficient for what I need. It'd be really nice to have a little bit more. These things are pretty darn close to exactly 5 inches, maybe a hair over. And I don't mind punching it most of the way through and then just kind of cleaning up the last 1/16 of an inch with a die grinder or something like that. That's no problem. I can do that. But the bigger issue here is that with 5 inches of travel, I have to get this whole thing lined up so that my hole, that's what I mean by hole, where my insert goes in there, my bit, lines up exactly right on the edge here, or else I'm going to start with that one and only make it part way through. Actually, I don't even think I can start with that one. I have to start with the hole that's just back inside there. So I think I got to move this out by about 1.5 inches, and I don't think that's going to work out at this end either. Once I get that end set, the chances of my 7-inch hole pattern here happening to line up with exactly where I need to start here are slim to none, and I don't have any extra travel on that thing to adjust. So that is going to be that. Ain't going to work. So I think what's going to happen here is I'm going to have to reset this end up to, like I said, move it over 1.5 inches so that that hole there for the bit happens to start right here. I'll have to bore out this end, and then I'll have to reset that thing again so that it starts right here and lines right up. So, such is life. But you gotta do what you gotta do. Make do with what you got. So that's that. This end should be easier. That bushing that came out of there was only like 3 inches long or something like that, 3.5 maybe. So no biggie. I can work with my pattern that I got there. I think it'll work. So I'm going to leave that for right now, head home for the night, and I'll continue working on this tomorrow, I guess. So I've been picking away at this darn thing, and it's not working very well. Not real happy with it at all. I got too much flex happening with that bar there, and my surface finish is just crap. I've tried all kinds of things, and I can't get it to clean up properly. This bar end here is bouncing around too much, being that it's out past the end of this a ways, and there's actually I think a little bit of flex in the, or a little bit of a bend in the bar, so she ain't cutting pretty at all, and it just starts to chatter and then bounces like crazy, and it's terrible. So that sucks. Originally I was going to have this bearing out here to support it, but my bar is so short, so maxed out here, that I hardly got enough. I wouldn't be able to have any gap in there to be able to properly support the bar. So yesterday I got so ticked off with it, I ordered another bearing. So I'm going to set that up really tight here, right off the end. I won't have much room to be able to run the bit past, and I won't be able to see anything, but I will be able to support the bar. And then when I pull the bit back enough to be able to adjust it right here, it's actually going to be barely in the bearing, if at all. It'll probably actually pop out, and then when I start feeding it, it'll just start catching the bearing, and then as that bit works its way through, it'll feed itself into the bearing. So goes the theory anyway. So that's on hold while I wait for Amazon. When I went to go buy it, it says it was going to be here in a few days, but as it turns out, it's going to be more like a whole week. So sit and wait. So in the meantime, I went and chopped up a few pieces of steel. I had some, I don't know, 4.5 inch 4140. There's one chunk right there that I hacked off a shaft, and I'm picking away on the lathe here. starting to turn it into a bushing. So I got a bit of a OD turned here, got her dialed in half so, and good enough for right now, and punched an 1.5-inch hole in it, and I'm just about to, well, I just turned the OD here, so it's that tool, but I think I'm going to throw the big boring bar in there, big, 1 inch anyway, big for this machine, that's for sure. And I'll start whittling away at that. My goal is to kind of half rough these things out, get them close, give me something to do while I'm waiting for parts. And what else did I do? Oh, I chopped, here we go. Got another chunk of 4140 here that I'm going to make into the replacement pin for the piston end. This is the one that's all worn out. And yeah, I'll turn that down too. That I can pre-make. What else can I do? Oh, over here, the bosses for that pin kind of worn out, like a lot. These ones here, so I'll probably get those cleaned up just with a die grinder, weld them up, and get ready to go. Get ready to turn those down. Hey. Oh yeah, it'll work. Sorry, just thinking here. 2-inch hole, 1.75-inch bar. It's going to just barely make it if I have enough room for the tip of the tool on my tool bit. Where's my tool bit? Well, it's in the bar, of course. That ain't gonna work. It's gonna be way too big. My tool there. Boy, that might just work, especially if I clearance out a little bit on the hole that I'm gonna use there. I can make it work. I can make it work. I'm confident. Not very smart, but at least I'm confident. All right, so yeah, let's go back to turning it on the lathe. Yeah, I got things dialed in nicely here now. Taking 50 thou per side, 100 thou a pass on the diameter. Chips are breaking nicely finally. Lots of nice blue chips instead of the long stringy things here. Like I said, just punching this out to a rough diameter just to get things kind of close. Kind of debating about doing the final bore in place with the boring bar. Maybe, I don't know. Probably not. Sounds like extra work to me. Anyway, it's working good. A little closer. Boom. Nice.